What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Dash today. It is the 5th day of November, and the purpose of this video is to give an accurate forecast into the future as far as what the price action is going to do. Hint, hint, and just a quick summary. I think we're going to move up a little bit, we're going to move down a little bit, and then we're going to move up a lot a bit, right? Something like that. But let's get into the TA. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let's get into it, okay? The reasons why I think we're going to move like this and all that stuff will come to light here pretty soon. If we're looking at this on a weekly time frame, we have busted out of this overall accumulative phase here. It was accumulative, absolutely it was. Here's your proof that it was accumulative. We broke through this point of resistance, broke through that point of resistance, went all the way up here to this point, of which we found significance throughout Dash's life, really, in the past cycle, and even, I think, the cycle before. No? Is this... Oh, no, we're on the weekly time frame. So, yeah, over the past cycle and the cycle before. Support, 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 resistance, resistance right there, support right there, support right there, resistance right there, and resistance right here right now. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. We take an overall high from the last bull market. We put this at the overall low from the current bear market, right in the golden ratio zone. It's exactly where we forecasted you to go. It's actually very common, fun fact for anybody that doesn't know, it's very common to go from the golden ratio zone to the 0.5382 area to find support. You go from here to here, and then you continue to climb. It's very common. We haven't done that yet, right? Today's pullback down to $100 did not do that. We probably do have lower to go. But I do think that we might see a little bit of a push higher first before we go lower. And I'll get into that, okay, in just a second. But looking at this here, again, golden ratio, very common to go to the 0.5382 area. So for right now, something to consider is that we are forecasting prices that are going to be around $91 to $62, somewhere in that kind of area there, okay? Something more or less right between these lines. If not between these lines, then right at these lines. It doesn't have to be in between. It can be right at these zones. Wouldn't it make sense to come back and find support at prior resistance here, prior resistance there, prior support here? Wouldn't it make sense? I think it would make a lot of sense, but that's that fib right there. If we put this here from a high to a low, you can see that we've wicked just above the 1414. It's very common to wick above the 1414 and then close below it. If we were to find support somewhere else based off of this wick, the 886 to the 100 level would actually be perfect. And that is well within our range here that we've just outlined based off of our cycle high to cycle low, very significant Fibonacci retracement there. So a lot lining up with the idea that we even go below $80. I don't think, at this point in time, I'm not completely sold that we go below $80, but it's something to consider, okay, based off of this at least, and then based off of the acceptable range, it's very possible. You might be hearing that and thinking, $80? It was all the way up at $150 yesterday, though. Why? That's a huge drop. 60%? Is this thing still going to come back from that? Yes. In crypto, a 30 to 60% drop is actually normal, especially for altcoins. So while you're in the midst of a 10x move or a 100x move, it happens. It's very common, actually, okay? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Man, I'm sick or something. I got something wrong with me. It's not that bad, though. It's not a big deal. Anyways, let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll zoom in. Okay, I think we've got some good bearings as far as where we are overall, and this range is the area that we're looking to find support. If we look at this on the 1 hour time frame, again, I do believe we move up first. I think what we're doing here, we're finding a little bit of support. We're grinding out. We've got this consolidation phase here. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we broke out of this consolidation phase to the upside. We got some kind of lower high or maybe a slightly higher high, and then we came down. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did that because Dash right now is a hot commodity. People are FOMOing in at the top. People might have been almost close to FOMOing in at the top, and then they waited, and now the price has come back, so they feel like they can wait longer for the price to come down. Once the price comes back up, I would assume that there is some FOMO that happens, and at that point, when there's max capitulation, max FOMO, that'll be when we double top, we come back down to this area here. That's kind of my prophecy at the moment, is I think we'll get some kind of a double top. I could be wrong, but the reaction we're having here off of the 100 level seems to be productive, so I think we're going to run with that productivity, okay? Looking at this here on the 1 hour time frame, we do have lower lows in the RSI. We have higher lows in the price. That is hidden bullish divergence, and typically that's a mark of continuation to the upside. The stochastics are weird, but they're bullish at the moment. And the MACD actually does have some pretty significant bullish divergence, doesn't it? Low here, higher low, higher low, higher low. That does suggest a bit of a turnaround, and I think we're seeing that here. Overall, the MACD is bearish, but it's the 1 hour time frame, so who cares? But with very bullish prospects here. 4 hour time frame, we zoom out a little bit, and you can see we do have this lower high dynamic here in the RSI. Lower highs there with higher highs here. That tells me that the price does have a date with destiny to something that is likely below where the highest close is here, which coincidentally is at the 0.5 at the top of this range that we gave based off of our fibs. It has nothing to do with the price. It has everything to do with last cycle's high to the bear market low. This top line is the 0.5. This bottom line is the 382 retracement. Where we stopped here was in the golden ratio, and it's very common to go from your golden ratio back to this zone. With the RSI showing bearish divergence, it's very common to go back to where the divergence started, which happens to line up with this exact level and even a little bit through it, thus giving us more promise that we do go into this zone at some point, okay? Stochastics are bearish. The MACD is bullish overall, but flipped a little bit bearish at the moment. I think the stochastics are telling us that we do have lower to go as time goes on, but we could bounce here first. Maybe we bounce at the 50, we come up, we reject the overbought zone, something like that. I am expecting that we get another drive of bearish divergence here. So with that, some kind of close on a 4-hour time frame that is above 135 is what I'm forecasting. If we don't see that, if we don't get a close above 135, that's fine. Maybe we don't. Perhaps instead we just get some kind of standard retracement within this range here, and instead of 135 we see a 128 to 132. Maybe we don't get double bearish divergence, we just get a lower high, but I am expecting some kind of a close above 135, at least at the moment, on a 4-hour time frame. We close above there, we get this double high, maybe we even push a little bit higher. Again, remember, if we do push higher, oops, that's not what I meant to do. If we do push higher here from a high to a low, the golden ratio extension is just a little bit higher. It's right there at 171. We could literally push to 170 and then turn around. I'm not saying from here, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, I'm not saying that Dash is going to run from here $111 all the way up to $171. I'm just saying we could, and still this lower range that we've been forecasting down to $91 to $61 would still come to pass, okay? We've just created another drive of bearish divergence there on our 4-hour time frame. That's all I'm forecasting, if that happens, okay? I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm just saying even if we go all the way up to $171, don't get too excited, my friends. Don't get too excited, okay? Something above 135 is what I'm thinking, though, okay? I think that we're going to see something above 135 and then come down. If I'm wrong, we'll know that I'm wrong, because instead, if we start closing a 4-hour candle, if we get below $100 at all, then I'm wrong. Instead of moving up higher first and then down, we're just moving down, which is fine too, right? The overall, the end goal, remember, my friends, regardless of how we get there, whatever it might look like, the end goal is something between $91 to $61. Okay, that's the end goal. I'm thinking closer to this $80 to $91 area. I think we'll be somewhere in here. But if we do go all the way down to $61, it's not a problem. It's not a big deal. And in fact, this might be a good time to overlay our relative low to our relative highs. So let's do that. Relative low here to our relative highs. The 382, it's right there. It's so perfect, man. It is so perfect, guys. We literally might find support right there at $91. If not 91, wick a little bit below, but I'm very confident $85 to $91, that's where we're going to find support. I'm very confident that's where we're going to find support. The lowest we could go to would be $61. And look at how all these levels, they just line up together. It's beautiful. Not just on a fib perspective, but also on a resistance point. I love it, right? It's perfect. So, but I highly doubt that we get to $61. But again, that is the lowest level that we could possibly see. Daily time frame now. This is where things start to get a little bit more exciting. We're overbought, coming down, right? The idea of consolidation should be friendly because now we're going to cool off our RSI that hit the 90, cool off the RSI. Typically, whenever you hit these readings this high, this deep into the 90s, you do get more readings as time goes on, okay? You get more continuation to the upside. You form some bearish divergence, whatever, and then you move down. So we have higher highs to go is all I'm trying to say by that. Stochastics coming down, a little bit bearish here, come down to the 50, bounce, come down to the oversold zone, bounce, whatever it might be, whatever it takes. You'll probably consolidate here, I would guess, for about a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. So don't get excited, right? We've got, in this week already, we've got 4 days and 8 hours left, right? About 4 days, 7 hours left. We probably don't make any serious moves by the end of this week, right? Or even next week. Maybe sometime going into the end of next week, we found our low and then we start to recover. But I would assume it's not next week, but the week after that we begin to explore higher prices. Of course, unless we go to 171 first and then down, but whatever, you know, in this range. When I say higher prices, I don't just mean 171. I mean $200, $300, beyond that, right? And Dash will go to $200 to $300 and beyond. It absolutely will. If we look at this from an overall high, the all-time high, to the multi-cycle bear market low here that we have, right, high to low, We're just above the 382. Okay. The next target area that I would have as far as where this move is going to go overall would be the golden ratio, 287 to $400. This is where, again, I'm forecasting right now that we'll consolidate in total for like a week or two at this area. We'll consolidate for like a week or two, find support here, and then move back up, right? A week or two, and then we move higher. But whenever we have a consolidation phase that lasts for a month or 6 weeks or longer, maybe something that's more than just a week or two, I think that'll happen when we're at $287 to $398, somewhere in that, let's say, $300 to $400 area itself. Okay, that's the expectation. Could you push higher? Could you push through the prior cycle high? Yes, you could, and it's important to address that, right? If we are more bullish than expected, it is possible to go all the way up to $615. A lot of cryptos recently have actually pushed right through their golden ratio to their 786 level, so it is completely possible. It is a valid thought, but with what I'm seeing here, I would think it's most possible, most plausible to accept a $400 to $290 price prediction. That's my expectation. So we'll probably see that by the end of this year. If not by the end of November, we'll see something like this. Okay, that's really all I have to say, guys. We can talk about more and higher prices and new all-time highs all you want. Once we do get to these levels, I think Dash has a real chance to see new all-time highs by the end of the cycle. I would at least expect that you're at $1,000, at most $5,000 to $10,000, something like that. But I don't know if I'm quite on board with the idea of you seeing new all-time highs. Right? I'm more right now under the impression that we might get a double top, maybe a slightly higher high. $5,000, $5,500 is the minimum target as far as this extension goes overall, but that doesn't mean that we're promised this. Okay, we have to wait. Let's wait and see how we react. Let's wait and see how we end the year. 5,500 to 10,600 are definitely targets that we should accept, but it is completely possible as well to have a lower high or even like a double top overall. So just be aware of that as time goes on. I've got nothing else. We covered the long, we covered the short, we gave you ranges and areas to focus on. If we move up to $171 or something below there, don't get excited, right? It's still likely that we do go down to $91 to $85. We could go as low as $61 before we see any kind of recovery. I would expect and do expect that this recovery phase, this consolidation phase, lasts about a week or 2 weeks at the most. And then going into the end of the month of November, the mid part and later, we should be rallying. We should be seeing prices surge to that $290 to $400 price area. If not by the end of November, then certainly sometime in December. I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.